WLQL TV-63.
Oh, hi everyone. I didn't notice you there while my brain was reactivating. Welcome to another episode of Dr. Frankenjoe's Gruesome Picture Show. What the heck is this? What, piece of paper? Oh, a note. It's a note. Dear Monster, because you ditched me on Halloween last week to go trick-or-treating and made me host the show myself, I'm going to punish you tonight by making you watch Night of the Living Dead for the 8th time because I know you hate it so much. Your evil maker, Dr. Frankenjoe. Oh, P.S. I ate the last of your Tootsie Rolls too, you chump. What? What? You mean I gotta watch Night of the Living Dead again? That scoundrel, he knows I hate that movie. But joke's on him, I actually love that movie. It's one of my all-time favorites. But he's such a dummy, he thinks I hate it, so he thinks it's a punishment to make me watch it. Oh, wait a minute, did he say he ate the rest of my trick-or-treat candy too? Oh, that jerk. Oh, I was looking forward to that candy. Oh well, say la viva or whatever. I guess we should just get to the movie like the note said. Tonight's movie is Night of the Living Dead, the very first zombie movie ever made. Well, I guess except White Zombie. That came out a long time before it. And I Walked with a Zombie. And Astro Zombies came out a couple months before Night of the Living Dead, so... Well, anyway, it's the first movie that had zombies the way we have zombies now, where it's just dead people eating live people. And none of that voodoo stuff or space crap. So let's just get to Night of the Living Dead. Let me tune it in here on my crazy science device and... Oh! Ow! I see he turned that up a little bit from... He must be mad about last week. Oh, there we go.
They ought to make the day the time changes, the first day of summer.
What?
Well, it's 8 o'clock and it's still light.
A lot of good the extra daylight does us. Now, we've still got a 3-hour drive back. We're not going to be home until after midnight.
Well, if it really bugged you, Johnny, you wouldn't do it.
You think I want to blow Sunday on a scene like this? You know, I figure we're either going to have to move Mother out here or move the grave into Pittsburgh.
She can't make a trip like this.
Oh, I don't know that she can. Is there any of that candy left?
No.
Look at this thing. We still remember. I don't. You know, I don't even remember what the man looks like.
Johnny, it takes you 5 minutes.
Yeah, 5 minutes to put the wreath on the grave and 6 hours to drive back and forth. Mother wants to remember, so we trot 200 miles into the country and she stays at home.
Well, we're here, John, all right?
Back on? Oh. Ladies and
Hey,
gentlemen, we're coming back on the air after an interruption due to technical problem.
There's nothing wrong with the radio. Must have been the station.
Which row is it in? Just to hear yourself talk. There it is.
I wonder what happened to the one from last year. Each year we spend good money on these things. We come out here and the one from last year's gone.
Well, the flowers die, and the caretaker or somebody takes them away.
Yeah, a little spit and polish. You can clean this up. Sell it next year. Wonder how many times we bought the same one. Hey, come on, Barb. Church was this morning, huh? Hey, I mean praying's for church, huh? Come on.
I haven't seen you in church lately.
Well, there's not much sense in my going to church. Do you remember one time when we were small, we were out here? It was from right over there. I jumped out at you from behind the tree, and Grandpa got all excited, and he shook his fist at me, and he said, "Boy, you'll be damned to hell." Remember that? Right over there. Well, you used to really be scared here.
Johnny,
You're still afraid.
stop it now. I mean it.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Stop it. You're ignorant.
They're coming for you, Barbara.
Stop it. You're acting like a child.
They're coming for you. Look, there comes one of them now.
He'll hear you.
Here he comes now. I'm getting out of here.
Johnny. Oh! No! No! Johnny! Help me!
All right. Don't worry about him. I can handle him. Probably be a lot more of them as soon as they find out about us. The truck is out of gas. This pump out here is locked. Is there a key? We can try to get out of here if we can get some gas. Is there a key? I suppose you've tried this. Do you live here? Jesus. We've got to get out of here. We have to get to where there's some other people. Maybe we better take some food. I'll see if I can find some food.
What's happening?
How do you think it's happening?
What's happening?
Two of them. There are two of them out there. Have you seen any more around here? I can take care of those two.
I don't
I know you're afraid, but we have
I
to...
don't know! I don't know! What's happening?
Welcome back, everyone. Well, Night of the Living Dead. What is there to say about this movie that hasn't been said a million times before? I mean, that crazy guy attacked that girl Barbara in the cemetery, and then he killed her brother Johnny. Then he chased her to that weird farmhouse, and then Ben came in the truck, and they went inside and locked themselves in, and they started to check the place out. But it looks like that Barbara's starting to go a little crazy. This movie was directed by the really great horror film guy, George Romero. You might remember a couple of years ago, he directed a movie made with him and Stephen King called Creepshow. That movie's got a bunch of stories in it. Like this one with this crazy farmer guy, and he finds a meteor and it turns him into a plant. You know, I found a meteor once. It didn't turn me into a plant. It just turned my 8th grade science project from a D to a B-. I love Creepshow. And George Romero's made a bunch of other great movies too, like the one called The Crazies, that's about a chemical leak that causes the whole town of people to go crazy. Or there's the one about Martin, and it's about a guy named Martin, and he might be a vampire, or he might just be crazy. Or what about the one about those crazy guys who dress up like knights and ride around on motorcycles? I don't remember what that one's called because I never saw it. And then what about Dawn of the Dead? That's the one about the people hiding out in a shopping mall from the zombies, and then they're so safe, they just start to get kind of bored and go a little crazy. Well, at least until a bunch of bikers show up and break into the mall, and they have those bikers, they're so crazy they have a pie fight with zombies. And then a bunch of them start getting eaten because they're dummies who have crazy things like pie fights with zombies instead of just cutting all the zombies' heads off. I wonder if that was the same group of biker gangsters that was in the one about the knights. And if so, what did they do with their knight armor? You'd think that'd come in pretty handy if you're in a mall full of zombies. And the new movie he just put out earlier this year is another zombie movie called Day of the Dead. That's the one about a bunch of scientists and army guys hiding out in an army base from some zombies, and they all go crazy. Like one of them is this crazy mad scientist guy, kind of like my maker, Doctor Frankenjoe. And he's experimenting on all the zombies. He even teaches one of them to talk on a phone. Man, George Romero makes a lot of movies about crazy people. Anyway, we gotta go to a commercial break right now, but please stay tuned for more of Night of the Living Dead.
This Saturday, WLQL Sports presents The Battle of the WLQL Stars, featuring many of your favorite personalities from WLQL TV and radio. Mitch Hishner, Claudette Monroe, Rick Klotzhammer, Brian Grease, Carol Hefner.
Hey, Joe, look at all the bundles I found over here.
Hey, be careful. No telling what's in those things.
Yeah, I think I found the load.
Watch out. That thing might be booby-trapped.
Sheriff Patrol, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. on WLQL TV-63.
Hey, welcome back to Doctor Frankenjoe's Gruesome Picture Show.
I know we're in here now.
Don't look at it. Get some more lights on in this house.
Why don't you see if you can find some wood, some boards, something about a fireplace, something we can nail this place up. Oh, God damn! Look, I know you're afraid. I'm afraid too. But we have to try to board the house up together. Now, I'm going to board up the windows and the doors. Do you understand? We'll be all right here. We'll be all right here until someone comes to rescue us. But we'll have to work together. You'll have to help me. Now, I want you to go in and get some wood so I can board the place up. Do you understand? Okay? Okay? That's strong. Yeah, I want you to pick out some nails. Pick out the biggest ones you can find. There, this room looks pretty secure. If we have to, we can run in here and board up the doors. Won't be long for those things to be back pounding their way in here. They're afraid now. They're afraid of fire. I found that out. You know a place back down the road called Beatman's? Beatman's Diner? Anyhow, that's where I found that truck I have out there. There's a radio in the truck. I had jumped in to listen to it when a big gasoline truck came screaming right across the road. But there must have been 10, 15 of those things chasing after it, grabbing and holding on. Now, I didn't see them at first. I could just see that the truck was moving in a funny way. And those things were catching up to it. The truck went right across the road. Slammed on my brakes to keep from hitting it myself. It went right through the guardrail. I guess the driver must have cut off the road into that gas station by Beekman's Diner. It went right through the billboard, ripped over a gas pump, and never stopped moving. By now, it's like a moving bonfire. Didn't know if the truck was going to explode or what. Still hear the man screaming. This thing is just backing away from it. I looked back at the diner to see if there was anyone there who could help me. That's when I noticed that the entire place had been encircled. There wasn't a sign of life left except... By now there were no more screams. I realized that I was alone with 50 or 60 of those things, just standing there, staring at me. I started to drive. I just plowed right through them. They didn't move, they didn't run or just stood there, staring at me. Just wanted to crush them. They scattered through the air like bugs.
We were riding in the cemetery, Johnny and me. Johnny. We came to put a wreath on my father's grave. Johnny, and he said, "Can I have some candy, Barbara?" We didn't have any. And, oh, it's hot in here. Hot. And he said, "Oh, it's late. Why did we start so late?" And I said, "Johnny, if you'd gotten up earlier, we wouldn't be late." Johnny asked me if I were afraid. And I said, "I'm not afraid, Johnny." And then this man started walking up the road. He came slowly, and Johnny kept teasing me and saying, "He's coming to get you, Barbara." And I laughed at him and said, "Johnny, stop it." And then Johnny ran away. And I went up to this man, and I was going to apologize.
Why don't you just keep calm?
And I looked up, and I said, "Goody." And he grabbed me. He grabbed me, and he ripped at me. He held me, and he ripped at my clothes.
I think you should just calm down.
Oh, I screamed, "Johnny! Johnny, help me! Oh, help me!" And he wouldn't let me go. He ripped. And then Johnny came and he ran and he fought this man. And I got so afraid. I ran. And Johnny didn't come. We have to wait for Johnny. We better go out and get him. We have to go out and get Johnny. He's out there. Please, don't you hear me? We've got to go out and get him. Please! We have got to go get Johnny! Please help me! Please!
Don't you know what's going on out there? This is no Sunday school picnic.
Don't you understand? My brother is alone.
Your brother is dead.
No! My brother is not dead. Oh. Oh.
Man, zombies sure do hate headlights for some reason. Did you see that one smashing the headlights with a rock? I mean, wait a minute. Can zombies use rocks as tools? I mean, are we sure these are undead zombies and not just some country farm weirdos? You know, it's okay for me to poke fun at country farm weirdos, because where I live here in Wisconsin, there's a whole ton of them. They're everywhere. They're our friends, they're family, they're us. Oh my God, that's just like in all these zombie movies. The zombies aren't the monsters are us, the people. Oh, you and me. Well, mostly you, because I'm not even a person. I'm an actual monster, so I can't be a metaphorical monster. But I think with all the weirdos that watch this show, there's a pretty good chance that some of you people out there have done some pretty horrible stuff. But anyway, I sure hope all these people in this movie are zombies, because Ben sure is beating the crap out of them and stabbed them in the head and stuff. But who can blame them? I mean, did you see that crazy looking one who was coming up behind Barbara? That guy definitely had some major problems even before he became an undead ghoul. But you know what? They're doing pretty good, actually, Ben and Barbara. I mean, they figured out that zombies don't like headlights, and they're afraid of fire, and they got the house boarded up a little bit with some boards nailed to the windows and stuff, and then they kind of told each other a little bit about their stories. But, you know, Barbara sure seems to be cracking up, though. But, you know, the poor lady did see her brother get his head cracked open on that tombstone. I bet that would mess anybody up. If I wanted to find out, I bet I could ask some of the friends of the villagers whose heads I cracked open on tombstones the last time I escaped the castle and see if they're messed up. Anyway, remember when I was talking about George Romero and his new movie Day of the Dead? Well, after that, Terrance, my producer, and this goofy camera guy over here, they were asking me how I got to see it, because it was really hard to find in the movie theaters. You know why it was? Because the dummies in the Hollywood movie rating place, they decided they were going to give Day of the Dead a rating X, like some sort of weird foreign porno movie. But George Romero, he told them to pound sand, and he said, I'm going to release it with no rating at all. But this meant that no regular movie theaters would show it anyways, so it wound up just playing in little weirdo theaters that just show stuff like foreign porno movies. And even though I know they play all those Emmanuel movies all the time, no matter how much I begged, the local theater, the Broadway Cinema, would not play Day of the Dead. They wanted to keep playing Brewster's Millions because it was making too much money. Why'd all you dummies keep going to see Brewster's Millions so much? I mean, that's all they played for 4 months. So I had to drive for a few hours to go to Milwaukee, Wisconsin to see Day of the Dead at this sleazy little movie theater called the Oriental. But you know what? It was kind of fun to see it there. And then afterwards, I got to stay and watch a really late night showing of this other crazy movie called the Rocky Horror Picture Show. But then I got kicked out halfway through Rocky Horror Picture Show. There were all these people yelling and talking so loud, I kept telling them to shut up, and then I hollered at them really loud, and the manager of the theater came in and he made me leave. Well, I guess we got to go to another commercial break, so we'll be right back after this with more of Night of the Living Dead. No, if anyone should have had to leave, it should have been those jerks.
Hey, you.
Talking to me?
Yeah, look, they don't allow bikes in the park. I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
So you asked me. You did your job. Good for you.
Motorbike Rebel, Saturday at noon on WLQL TV-63.
I don't want any trouble, all right?
Hey, welcome back to Doctor Frankenjoe's Gruesome Picture Show.
Because of the obvious threat to untold numbers of citizens, and because of the crisis which is even now developing, this radio station will remain on the air day and night. This station and hundreds of other radio and TV stations throughout this part of the country are pooling their resources through an emergency network hookup to keep you informed of all developments. At this hour, we repeat, these are the facts as we know them. There is an epidemic of mass murder being committed by a virtual army of unidentified assassins. The murders are taking place in villages, cities, rural homes, and suburbs with no apparent pattern or reason for the slayings. It seems to be a sudden, general explosion of mass homicide. We have some descriptions of the assassins. Eyewitnesses say they are ordinary-looking people. Some say they appear to be in a kind of trance. Others describe them as being So, at this point, there is no really authentic way for us to say who or what to look for and guard yourself against. Misshapen monsters. Reaction of law enforcement officials is one of complete bewilderment at this hour. So far, we have been unable to determine that any kind of organized investigation is yet underway. Police, sheriff's deputies, and emergency ambulances are literally deluged with calls for help. But the scene can best be described as mayhem. Mayors of Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and Miami, along with the governors of several eastern and midwestern states, have indicated the National Guard may be mobilized at any moment, but that has not happened as yet. The only advice our reporters have been able to get from official sources is for private citizens to stay in their homes behind locked doors. Do not venture outside for any reason until the nature of this crisis has been determined and until we can advise what course of action to take. Keep listening to radio and TV for any special instructions as this crisis develops further. Thousands of office and factory workers are being urged to stay at their places of employment, not to make any attempt to get to their homes. However, in spite of this urging and warning, streets and highways are packed with frantic people trying to reach their families or apparently to flee just anywhere. We repeat, the safest course of action at this time is simply to stay where you just received word that the president has called a meeting of his cabinet to deal with the sudden epidemic of murder which has seized the eastern third of this nation. The meeting is scheduled to convene within the hour. Members of the presidential cabinet will be joined by officials of the FBI and joint teams behind closed doors. The White House spokesman, in announcing this conference, says there will be an official announcement as soon as possible following that meeting. This is the latest dispatch just received in our newsroom. Latest word also from National Press Services in Washington, D.C. now tells us that the emergency presidential conference, which we've just mentioned, will include high-ranking scientists from the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. That's the extent of this latest bulletin. Repeating, members of his cabinet, the FBI, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and scientists from NASA within the hour. All radio and TV stations throughout this part of the country, including the one to which you were listening, have joined their facilities in an emergency network to bring you this news as it develops. We urge you to stay tuned to radio and TV and to stay indoors at all costs. Late reports reaching this newsroom tell of frightened people seeking refuge in churches, schools, and government buildings, demanding shelter and protection from the wholesale murder which apparently is engulfing much of the nation. Law enforcement officials are at a loss to explain or, even at this hour, even to theorize about the reasons for this wave of murder. So far, the advice they're able to give the public is some Chief T.K. Dunmore of Camden, North Carolina, is quoted as saying, quote, "Tell the people, for God's sake, to get off the streets. Tell them to go home and lock their doors and windows up tight. We don't know what kind of murder-happy characters we have here." End quote. Police Chief Dunmore of Camden, North Carolina. So far, the only descriptions, the only clues anyone has of the killers come from frightened witnesses of some of the slayings. These eyewitness accounts very often describe the murderers as ordinary-looking people, misshapen monsters, people who look like they're in a trance, and things that look like people but act like animals. Some eyewitnesses tell of seeing victims who look as though they had been torn apart. Since then, reports of such senseless killings began snowballing in a reign of terror which has hopscotched in an erratic, disconnected manner throughout much of the eastern and midwestern United States. Efforts to keep track of the murder reports by the placing of markers on a map seem to indicate a general spreading of the extreme southeastern United States to the north and west. Our newsmen have been on the telephone talking with officials in other cities and have determined that none of this kind of mass murder has yet been reported west of the Mississippi River, except in the extreme southeastern portion of Texas. Similar killings have been reported around the Houston and Galveston, but nothing like
I found a gun and some bullets out there.
It was only late yesterday
Oh, and
that it
these.
became clear we were facing some kind of national emergency. When first reports began filtering in, newsmen and law enforcement agencies were of the opinion
This
that
place is boarded up pretty solid now.
in nature. However, as these
We ought to be all right here for a while.
dramatically, it was soon apparent that
We have
this
a
was
gun
something
and
more than the
bullets.
usual run of lawlessness.
Food and the radio.
Some began to suspect an obscure kind of conspiracy.
Sooner or later, someone's
Things as
bound to come and get us out.
creatures from outer space. So again, we join with law enforcement agencies, urging you to seek shelter in a building. Lock the doors and windows securely.
Hey, that's us. We're doing all right.
Be cautious of any suspicious strangers. And keep tuned to your radio and television for survival instructions and further details of this continuing story.
Look, I don't know if you're hearing me,
Goes on in the absence of any
but I'm going upstairs now.
It's almost as though some critical balance of
If anything should try to break in here, I can hear it from up there. I'll be down to take care of it.
savage killers. We repeat, this radio station.
Everything is all right for now. I'll be back to reinforce the windows and doors later. But you'll be all right for now, okay? Okay.
Civil defense officials in Cumberland have told newsmen that murder victims show evidence of having been partially devoured by their murderers. Consistent reports from witnesses to the effect that people who acted as though they were in a kind of trance were killing and eating their victims prompted authorities to examine the bodies of some of the victims. Medical authorities in Cumberland have concluded that in all cases, the killers are eating the flesh of the people they murdered. Repeating this latest bulletin just received moments ago from Cumberland, Maryland, civil defense authorities have told newsmen that murder victims show evidence of having been partially devoured by their murderers. Medical examination of victims' bodies shows conclusively that the killers are eating the flesh of the people they killed. And so this incredible story becomes more ghastly with each report. It's difficult to imagine such a thing actually happening, but these are the reports we have been receiving and passing on to you, reports which have been verified as completely as is possible in this confused situation. It is happening, and it would appear that no one is safe from this wave of mass murder.
Don't shoot! We're from town. A radio.
County, Pennsylvania. The Butler County Sheriff has verified that reports of murder being partially eaten by their slayers is true. No further details available at this time. However,
How long you guys been down there? I could use some help up here.
That's the cellar. It's the safest place.
You mean you didn't hear the racket we were making up here?
How were we supposed to know what was going on? Could have been those things for all we knew.
That girl was screaming. Surely you must know what a girl screaming sounds like. Those things don't make any noise. Anybody would know somebody that needed help.
Look, it's kind of hard to hear what's going on from down there.
We thought we could hear screams, but for all we knew, that could have meant those things were in the house afterward.
And you wouldn't come up and help?
Well, if there were more...
The racket sounded like the place was being ripped apart. How were we supposed to know what was going on?
Now, wait a minute. You just got finished saying you couldn't hear from down there. Now you say it sounded like the place was being ripped apart. It would be nice if you get your story straight, man.
All right, now you tell me. I'm not going to take that kind of a chance when we got a safe place. We luck into a safe place, and you're telling us we got to risk our lives just because somebody might need help, huh?
Yeah, something like that.
All right, why don't we settle this?
Look, mister, we came up. Okay, we're here. Now I suggest we all go back downstairs before any of those things find out we're in here.
They can't get in here.
You got the whole place boarded up?
Yeah, most of it. All but a few spots upstairs. They won't be hard to fix.
You're insane. The cellar's the safest place.
I'm telling you, they can't get in here.
And I'm telling you, those things turned over our car. We were damn lucky to get away at all. Now you tell me those things can't get through this lousy pile of wood?
His wife and kids downstairs. The kid's hurt.
Well, I still think we're better off up here.
We could strengthen everything up, Mr. Cooper.
With all of us working, we could fix this place up in no time. We have everything we need up here.
We can take all that stuff downstairs with us. Man, you're really crazy. You know that? You got 1,000,000 windows up here. All these windows, you're gonna make them strong enough to keep these things out, huh?
I told you those things don't have any strength. I smashed 3 of them and pushed another one out the door.
Did you hear me when I told you they turned over our car?
Oh, hell, any good 5 men can do that.
That's my point. Only there's not going to be 5 or even 10. There's going to be 20, 30, maybe 100 of those things. And as soon as they know we're here, this place is going to be crawling with them.
Well, if there are that many, they'll probably get us wherever we are.
Look, the cellar. The cellar, there's only one door, right? Just one door, that's all we have to protect. Tom and I fixed it so it locks and boards from the inside. But up here, all these windows, why, we'd never know where they were going to hit us next.
You got a point, Mr. Cooper. But down in the cellar, there's no place to run to. I mean, if they did get in, there'd be no back exit. We'd be done for. We can get out of here if we have to. And we got windows to see what's going on outside. But down there with no windows, if a rescue party did come, we wouldn't even know it.
But the cellar is the strongest place.
The cellar is a death trap.
I don't know, Mr. Cooper. I think he's right. You know how many's out there?
I don't know. I figure maybe 6 or 7.
Look, you two can do whatever you like. I'm going back down to the cellar, and you better decide. Because I'm going to board up that door, and I'm not going to unlock it again no matter what happens.
Now, wait a minute, Mr. Cooper.
No, I'm not going to wait. I've made my decision, now you make yours.
Now, wait a minute. Let's think about this. We can make it to the cellar if we have to. And if we do decide to stay down there, we'll need some things from up here. So let's at least consider this a while.
If you box yourself in the cellar and those things get in the house, you've had it. At least up here you have a fighting chance.
Yeah, it looks like about 8 or 10 out there now.
It's more than there were. There are a lot out back, too.
It's all right.
Oh man, I sure hope the owners of this house are actually dead and not just on vacation or something, because then they're going to come home and see all their tables nailed to the walls and their chair burned up on the back lawn and stuff. And then Ben went upstairs and he found that dead gross lady up there. Hey, why isn't that lady upstairs walking around as a zombie? I've seen zombies in way worse condition than that in other movies. Like in Day of the Dead, there's a zombie with his whole bottom jaw ripped off, and there's another one that doesn't even have a head around his brain. He's just a brain at the end of his neck, but he's still alive because he's a zombie. Anyway, can you believe those jerks were hiding out in the basement this whole time, and they didn't even come up to help board up the windows or fight the zombies or nothing? And then when everything calms down, they finally come up, they start acting like they own the joint. They're lucky Ben didn't blast them with that rifle we found in the closet. I probably would've, especially that bald guy. He looks like a real creepy weirdo. And did you hear that old-timey radio news broadcast they were listening to? That sure takes me back to listening to my dad's old radio show when I was a kid. People sure talked funny back then. But, you know, we actually did learn something important about the zombies finally. They eat people. I mean, at least that's what the old-timey news radio guy was saying. We haven't actually seen it in a movie yet, I don't think. I don't think we have. I mean, we all know that now, that zombies eat the flesh of their victims, because that's the way it is in all the zombie movies today. But back when this movie was made, we were dumb. We didn't know any of this stuff. You know, the girl I took to see this movie, she puked when she first saw zombies eating people. Then she got up and she ran out of the theater, and I never saw her again. Well, I did run into her one time at the diner, and all she did was slap me and tell her friend I was a creep. Geez, Lacey, I didn't make the movie. All I did was pay for your ticket and some Raisinets, and that's how you thank me by running out on me in the middle of our date? Well, at least I got to sit there in peace and watch the rest of the movie and finish your Raisinets. But you know what? Watching this zombie movie sure is making me kind of hungry myself. Hey, you know what? I think Dr. Frankenjoe has some fresh cadavers down in his lab. Ooh, I sure could go for some fresh human flesh. Well, we're going to have to go to another commercial break, but we'll be right back with more Night of the Living Dead. Stay tuned.
Hey, Mike! Going to the game? Oh, yeah. Maybe...
Joe's Gruesome Picture Show.
Oh, hi, Betsy. How are you doing? What? Oh, no, sorry. I don't have any extra human arms that I could lend you for dinner. But you know what? I think there was a funeral yesterday, and so if you go down to the cemetery, you might be able to find something fresh. Oh, you got a letter for me? Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much. Oh, yeah? Okay, well, bye. Good luck with dinner. Well, everyone, Betsy just dropped off this letter, so I guess I'll read it. It seems to be from a fan. Dear Mr. Monster, my name is Poppy Simmons, and I like monsters. I'm 9 years old. Can we be friends? Well, Poppy, you know, well, I would love to be your friend. The last time that I became friends with a kid, we were playing Ring Around the Rosie, and I got spooked by a gust of wind and threw him into the quarry, so we might just be better off as pen pals. She continues, you always talk about how Dr. Frankenjoe made you, yes, but you also talk about things that happened when you were a little kid, like how your puppy only had 3 legs. I remember that. Or how your dad yelled at you a lot. He did do that too, yes. How were you a little kid if Dr. Frankenjoe made you out of grown-up people's body parts? Poppy Simmons. Well, you know, that's very observant of you, Poppy. And, yes, I was made by Dr. Frankenjoe, even though I was built from the body parts of fully grown people. But I have had several brains over the years, and so sometimes I have residual memories from all the brains I've had. And that's where all my memories as a kid come from. So, oh, and Poppy did a drawing, too. Oh, this is great. I love this one. Oh, let's take a look at this. Man, I look like a fancy model in this one. So thank you very much, Poppy. And I'm going to put this on the wall in the dungeon with all the other artwork. And this is going to have a special place because this is one of my favorites so far. So thank you. Oh, well, hey, everyone. This movie's starting to get pretty good. So why don't we all grab some snacks and enjoy some more Night of the Living Dead. Oh, I got to tune it in. Oh, there. Wow. Jeez, he's down. This is getting too bad here.
We gotta fix these boards. You're crazy. Those things are gonna be at every window and door in this place. We've got to get down into the cellar.
Go down in your damn cellar. Get out of here!
I'm taking the girl with me.
You leave her here. Keep your hands off her. And everything else is up here, too.
Because if I stay up here, I'm fighting for everything up here, and the radio and the food is part of what I'm fighting for. Now, if you're going down the cellar, get.
The man's insane. He's insane. We've got to have food down there. We've got a right.
This is your house.
We've got a right.
You going down there with him?
Well,
Yes or no? This is your last chance. No beating around the bush.
listen, I got a kid down there. She can't possibly, I couldn't bring her up here. She can't possibly take all the racket and those things smashing through the windows.
Well, you're her father. If you're stupid enough to go die in that trap, that's your business. However, I am not stupid enough to follow you. It is tough for the kid. That old man is so stupid. Now, you get the hell down in the cellar. You can be the boss down there. I'm boss up here.
You bastards. You know, I won't open this door again. I mean it.
Mr. Cooper, with your help, we could...
With my help.
Let him go, man. His mind is made up. Just let him go.
Wait a minute. Judy, come on up here, honey.
You're gonna let them get hurt too, huh?
It's all right, honey. Go ahead. If we stick together, man, we can fix it up real good. There's lots of places we can run to up here. Mr. Cooper, we'd all be a lot better off if all three of us were working together.
Hey. Hey, kid. He's wrong, you know. I'm not boxing myself in down there.
This radio station will remain on the air day and night.
Well, we're safe now. It's boarded up tight.
What about Tom and Judy?
They want to stay up there, let them. There are two other people upstairs, a man and a girl.
We heard the screaming.
Yeah, but I didn't know who they were, and I wasn't about to take any unnecessary chances.
Of course not, Harry.
Is she all right?
I don't know what it is. She feels warm. Maybe it's shock.
Where'd you get the bandage?
Some laundry in a basket. I tore a sheet.
Let them stay upstairs. Let them. Too many ways those monsters can get in up there. We'll see who's right. We'll see when they come begging me to let them in down here.
That's important, isn't it?
What?
To be right, everybody else to be wrong.
What do you mean by that?
Does anyone up there know why we're being attacked?
Whatever it isn't just happening here. It's some kind of mass murder. It's going on everywhere. The radio said to stay inside.
Radio?
Radio upstairs. I heard a news bulletin.
There's a radio upstairs and you boarded us in down here?
I know what I'm doing.
What did it say?
Nothing. Nothing. They don't know anything yet. There's mass murder everywhere, and people are supposed to look for a safe place to hide.
Take the boards off that door.
We are staying down here, Helen.
Harry, that radio is at least some kind of communication. If the authorities know what's happening, well, they'll send people for us to tell us what to do. How are we going to know what's going on if we lock ourselves in this dungeon?
We may not enjoy living together, but dying together isn't going to solve anything. Those people aren't our enemies.
Mr. Cooper! Mr. Cooper, Ben found a television set upstairs.
Let's go up. Tom?
Yeah.
If Judy would come downstairs for a few minutes, Harry and I could come upstairs.
Okay, yeah, right away.
Will you do it?
Do I have to?
Look, honey, nothing's going to get done with them down there and us up here. Do this for me.
Okay.
Okay, open up.
I'll take good care of her, Helen. She's all I have. Why don't you go upstairs now?
Her brother was killed.
Hey, give me a hand with this thing.
I gotta go help Ben with the television.
Don't be afraid of me. I'm Helen Cooper, Harry's wife.
This place is ridiculous. Look at this. There's a million weak spots up here. Give me one of those.
Her brother was killed.
And they talk about these windows. I can't see a damn thing. There could be 15 million of those things out there. That's how much good these windows are.
Why don't you do something to help somebody?
Here, I have it. Drag a couple of those chairs together.
There's a socket over here. You better watch this and try to understand what's going on. I don't want anyone's life on my hands.
Is there anything I can do to help?
I don't want to hear any more from you, mister. If you stay up here, you take orders from me. And that includes leaving the girl alone.
It's on, it's on.
There's no sound. Play with the rabbit ears.
Reports, incredible as they seem, are not the results of mass hysteria.
Mass hysteria. What do they think? We're imagining all this?
Shut up!
In all parts of the country. The wave of murder which is sweeping the eastern third of the nation is being committed by creatures who feast upon the flesh of their victims. First eyewitness accounts of this grisly development came from people who were understandably frightened and almost incoherent. Officials and newsmen at first discounted those eyewitness descriptions as being beyond belief. However, the reports persisted. Medical examinations of some of the victims bore out the fact that they had been partially devoured. I think we have some late word just arriving, and I'll interrupt to bring this to you. This is the latest disclosure in a report from National Civil Defense Headquarters in Washington. It has been established that persons who have recently died have been returning to life and committing acts of murder. A widespread investigation of reports from funeral homes, morgues, and hospitals has concluded that the unburied dead are coming back to life and seeking human victims. It's hard for us here to believe what we're reporting to you, but it does seem to be a fact. When this emergency first began, radio and television was advising people to stay inside. behind locked doors for safety. Well, that situation has now changed, and we're able to report a definite course of action for you. Civil defense machinery has been organized to provide rescue stations with food, shelter, medical treatment, and protection by armed National Guardsmen. Stay tuned to the broadcasting stations in your local area for this list of rescue stations. This list will be repeated throughout our news coverage. Look for the name of the rescue station nearest you and make your way to that location as soon as possible.
So we have that truck. We can get some gas, we can get out of here.
There's a pump out by the shed.
I know, that's why I pulled in here, but it's locked.
Emergency meeting called this afternoon by the President. Since convening this conference of the Presidential Cabinet, the FBI, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the CIA has not produced any public information. Why are space experts being consulted about an Earth-bound emergency? So far, all the betting on the answer to that question centers on the recent Explorer satellite shot to Venus. That satellite, you'll recall, started back to Earth, but never got here. That's the space vehicle which orbited Venus and then was purposely destroyed by NASA when scientists discovered it was carrying a mysterious high-level radiation with it. Could that radiation be somehow responsible for the wholesale murders we're now suffering? Newsman Don Quinn in Washington has posed those questions.
It's obvious our best move is to try to get out of here.
How are you going to get over to that pump? Look!
You're coming from a meeting regarding the explosion of the Venus probe, is that right?
Yes, that was the subject of the meeting.
You feel there is a connection between this and the phenomenon?
There's a definite connection. A definite connection.
In other words, you feel that the radiation on the Venus probe is enough to cause these mutations?
There was a very high degree of radiation.
Well, just a minute. I'm not sure that that's certain at all. I don't think that has been
only logical
irrefutably
explanation
proved.
that we have at this time.
In other words, it is the military's viewpoint that the radiation is not the cause of the mutation.
I can't speak for the entire military at this time, gentlemen.
This seems to
I
be...
must disagree with these gentlemen presently until this is irrefutably proved.
everything is being done that can be done.
We'll have to hurry for our next meeting.
And Professor, you feel that there is a definite connection between
a definite connection as far as Dr. Keller and myself.
Doctor, please. I thought we decided that is not proved yet.
Was the satellite, when the satellite was exploded?
An unusual amount of radiation, enough to cause mutation under certain circumstances.
Could have happened.
Have a bearing on it.
It does seem to have a bearing.
Will there be a reply for the
later?
Yes.
There will be a reply.
Yes.
Later this afternoon. There will be a report this afternoon.
So perhaps there will be a report.
Yes.
A more
Later.
full report. Will you close the window?
We are doing everything possible to solve the problem.
Some further explanation of this.
We've heard all we need to know. We have to try to get out of here.
He said the rescue stations have doctors and medical supplies. If we could get care in there, we could get help for her.
No, is one of the world's foremost authorities on space science and technology.
Willard. I saw a sign that said Willard.
Any moment.
It's only about 17 miles from here.
You know this area. You from around here?
Judy and I are both from around here. We were on our way up to the lake to go swimming. And Judy had a radio, and we heard the first reports about this. So we knew the old house was here, and we came in and found the lady upstairs dead. Then these other people came. We went down into the basement and put a bar across the door, and it is pretty strong.
Well, everyone, as usual, that Cooper guy is being a real jerk. And but what about his wife? She left their sick little girl down in the basement with that hippie girl. That hippie girl's probably down there smoking doobies or something instead of watching the sick little girl. Man, I hated hippies. They had a lot of talk about free love and all that, but none of those hippie girls ever wanted to go on a date with me. They just kept calling me a square. Probably because I was always all dressed up all suave in a suit and stuff, but there ain't nothing wrong with being a sophisticated, cool gentleman. I don't know, maybe they would have gone out with me if I had weirdo long hair and stopped washing my crotch. But I tell you what, when I went to New York and started going to the Apollo Theater, I sure did meet some classy ladies there, with clean feet too. And did you see that TV news nerd? Oh, what a Melvin. And he's talking about spaceships and stuff too. Come on, man, the dead are coming back to life. Nobody cares about your astronomy homework. And you know, when all those news guys are hounding that general in Washington, D.C., one of those guys was the movie director, George Romero. He wasn't the guy with the hat on or the goofball with the big headphones. He was the really big fella who kept shoving the microphone in the guys' faces. Well, it looks like our survivors are starting to put a plan together. They're gonna get that truck and get it all gassed up and head out to Willard, wherever that is. I heard it was only about 17 miles from there. Yeah, sure, we've all seen this movie a million times, so we know how this goes. But if you haven't seen it yet, or even if you have, why don't you stay tuned? Because after this commercial break, we're gonna have more of Night of the Living Dead.
Water. Dr. Frankenjoe's Gruesome Picture Show.
How could we possibly get away from here? We've got a sick child, 2 women, 1 woman out of her head, 3 men, and the place is surrounded with these things.
For NASA. Dr. Grimes, your entire staff, I know, has been working very hard to find some solution to these things that are happening. Do you have any answers at this time?
Yes, we have some answers. But first, let me stress the importance of seeking medical attention for anyone who's been injured in any way. We don't know yet what complications might result from such injuries.
How bad has your kid been hurt?
Good advice, Doctor. Now, how about the basic problem of patients? Well,
Look, you go down there and tell, Judy? Yeah, you tell Judy to come up here and you stay with the kid, all right?
Action taken with regard to the Venus probe. In the cold room at the university, we had a cadaver from which all 4 limbs had been amputated. Sometime early this morning, it opened its eyes and began to move its trunk. It was dead, but it opened its eyes and tried to move.
They want you upstairs. Did she ask for me?
She hasn't done anything.
I don't understand. Baby. It's Mommy.
I heard. I'll come back down as soon as I find out what they want.
Thank you, Judy.
The body should be disposed of at once, preferably by cremation.
well, how long after death, then, does the body become reactivated?
It's only a matter of minutes.
Minutes? Well, that doesn't give people time to make any arrangements.
No, you're right. It doesn't give them time to make funeral arrangements. The bodies must be carried to the street and burned. They must be burned immediately. Soak them with gasoline and burn them. The bereaved will have to forego the dubious comforts that a funeral service will give. They're just dead flesh and dangerous.
I see.
Judy, I need you to find some bedspreads or sheets to tear up into small strips, okay? Is there a fruit cellar here?
Yes.
We need some bottles or jars. Make Molotov cocktails and hold them up while we try to escape.
Hey, there's a big can of kerosene down there.
I'll see what I can find.
I'll look for the bottles.
There's a big key ring down there. There may be a key to the gas pump on it.
I'll check.
We can toss the cocktails from a window upstairs. Meantime, a couple of us can go out and try to get the gas and come back for the rest of the people.
But that'll leave a door open someplace.
Yeah, that's right. It better be this door. It's closer to the truck. Before we go out, we'll put some supplies behind the cellar door. While we're gone, the rest of you can hold up in there.
I found some fruit jars in the cellar. And there's a key on here that's labeled for the gas pump out back.
I'm not really that used to the truck. I found it abandoned.
I can handle the truck, no sweat.
You're it, then. You and I'll go. We'll put whatever lumber we find behind the cellar door. You can go upstairs and toss the cocktails from a window. Tom, you and I will have to unboard this door. After you toss the cocktails, you hustle back down here and lock this door. It's no good to board it up because we'll have to get back in quickly. After we get the gas and get back into the house, then we'll worry about getting everybody into the truck. Now let's move it.
No place to leave safely, except to the rescue stations which have been set up. Indications are that before this emergency is over, we will need many, many more such rescue stations.
You always have a smile for me. How can you smile like that all the time? How many do you have done? Come on, honey, we gotta move.
Tom, are you sure about the phone?
The phone is dead out. All you get is a recorded message.
If I could only call the folks. They're going to be so worried about us.
Everything will be all right. As soon as we get to Willard, we'll call them. They might even be there.
I know. Tom? Are you sure we're doing the right thing, Tom?
What, about getting out of here?
Yeah.
Well, the television said that's the right thing to do. We've got to get to a rescue station.
I don't know.
Come on, honey, you're starting to sound like Mr. Cooper now.
But why do you have to go out there?
Look, I know how to handle that truck, and I can handle the pump. Ben doesn't know anything about that stuff.
But we're safe in here.
For how long, honey? We're safe now. But there's going to be more and more of those things.
I know all that.
Hey, listen. Remember when we had the big flood? Remember how difficult it was for us to convince you that it was right to leave? Remember we had to go to Willard then? This isn't a passing thing, honey. It's not like just a wind passing through. We've got to do something, and fast.
I just don't want you to go out there, that's all.
Hey, Smiley. Where's that big smile for me? Boy, you're showing no use at all, are you? We've got work to do, honey. And you...
We better get her downstairs.
We have to go downstairs now, Barbara.
She's right. You have to go downstairs now, just for a little while, until we get back. Then we can all leave.
Oh, I'd like to leave. Yes.
Good luck.
Yeah.
You ready upstairs? Yeah. Okay, toss 'em. Come on. Get in.
key won't work.
Watch it. Watch the torch.
Gotta get away from the pump. Hang on.
Now, turn your cars and get out of the truck.
Let's get out of here. Come on, come on.
My jacket's caught.
Drag you out there and feed you those things.
Well, we heard more from the news nerd, and then he was interviewing some other total dweeb, and then Helen finally decided she was going to go down in the basement and check on the hippie girl and see how her sick daughter was doing. But you know, I actually think I might have been a little too hard on hippie girl. You know, she's not even really a hippie if you look at her, and she just seems like a really nice girl who's just scared and worried about her family. And her boyfriend, with the white slacks with a t-shirt tucked in, he seems pretty nice too. Young love. But too bad, because they got turned into a couple of Kentucky Fried Rubes when their truck exploded. Why the heck was Mr. Whiteslacks spraying that gasoline all over the place? What a doofus. Doesn't he know how to use a gas pump? I mean, he told us he did. What a liar. Well, anyway, him and the girl blowed up real good, and they just became barbecue for the zombie party. And you know what? I think that calls for a little celebration of my own with one of Dr. Frankenjoe's patented crazy science drinks. Got one right down here he left for me. And let's see. All right, this looks interesting. Oh, what is that? What is this? Dirty dishwater? Oh, that jerk. Oh, he must really be mad at me for last week. I should have known he was going to try something like this. But, you know, I guess they do kind of deserve it for leaving him in the lurch last week like that. Oh well, it looks like their whole plan turned into a big disaster and Ben's the only survivor. And that jerk Cooper almost got him ate up by the zombies because he wouldn't even open the door. I tell you what, I would have done more to that creep than just deck him a couple of times. But you know what? You better stay tuned after this commercial break, because it's going to be the shocking conclusion of Night of the Living Dead. So we'll see you in a few minutes. What? No, it's not really. It's a joke for the show, dummy. Hey, welcome back to Dr. Frankenjoe's Gruesome Picture Show.
Isn't it 3 o'clock yet? There's supposed to be another broadcast at 3 o'clock.
10 minutes.
Oh, only 10 more minutes? We don't have very long to wait. We can leave. Well, we better leave soon. It's 10 minutes to 3.
You know anything about this area at all? I mean, is Willard the nearest town? Back on his wheels and driving? Where is it?
Seems like it was pretty far away. Seems like we ran.
Forget it. It's at least a mile.
Johnny has the keys.
You gonna carry that child a mile through that army of things out there?
I can carry the kid. What's wrong with her? How'd she get hurt?
One of those things grabbed her.
Bit her on the arm.
What's wrong?
Who knows what kind of disease those things carry? Is she conscious?
Barely.
She can't walk. She's too weak.
Well, one of us could try to get to the car.
You gonna turn it over by yourself?
You can't start the car. Johnny has the keys.
You have a car? Where? Where is it?
You won't be able to start it.
Yeah, I know. But where is it?
Good Lord.
Being monitored closely by scientists, and all the radiation continues to increase steadily. So long as this situation remains, government spokesmen warn that dead bodies will continue to be transformed into the flesh-eating ghouls. All persons who die during this crisis, from whatever cause, will come back to life to seek human victims unless their bodies are first disposed of by cremation. Our news cameras have just returned from covering such a search and destroy operation against the ghouls, this one conducted by Sheriff Conan McClellan in Butler County, Pennsylvania. So now let's go to that film report. All law enforcement agencies and the military have been organized to search out and destroy the marauding ghouls. The Survival Command Center at the Pentagon has disclosed that a ghoul can be killed by a shot in the head or a heavy blow to the skull. Officials are quoted as explaining that since the brain of a ghoul has been activated by the radiation, The plan is, kill the brain, and you kill the ghoul.
Want anything from the supply wagon, Gus?
No, we're all right. Hey, Cass, put that thing all the way in the fire. We don't want it getting up again. All right, I got you.
Chief McClellan, how's everything going?
Oh, things aren't going too bad. Men are taking it pretty good. You want to get on the other side of the road over there?
Chief, do you think we'll be able to defeat these things?
Well, we killed 19 of them today right in this area. Those last 3 we caught trying to claw their way into an abandoned shed. They must have thought somebody was in there. There wasn't, though. We heard them making all kind of noise. We came over and beat them off, blasted them down.
Chief, as soon as you're finished, can I see you here?
Yeah, okay.
Chief, if I were surrounded by 6 or 8 of these things, would I stand a chance with them?
Well, there's no problem. If you had a gun, shoot them in the head. That's a sure way to kill them. If you don't, get yourself a club or a torch. Beat them or burn them. They go up pretty easy.
Well, Chief McClellan, how long do you think it will take you until you get the situation under control?
Well, that's pretty hard to say. We don't know how many of them there are. We know when we find them, we can kill them.
Are they slow-moving, Chief?
Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up.
Well, in time, would you say you ought to be able to wrap this up in 24 hours?
Well, we don't really know. We know we'll be into it most of the night, probably into the early morning. We're working our way toward Willard, and we'll team up with the National Guard over there, and then we'll be able to give a more definite view.
Thank you very much, Chief McClellan. This is Bill Cardill, WIC TV 11 News.
Thank you, Bill, for that report. Official spokesman declined to speculate just how long it may take to kill off all the flesh eaters, so long as the heavy rain...
Is the fuse box in the cellar?
I don't know. It isn't the fuse. The power lines are down. Helen, I have to get that gun.
Haven't you had enough?
Look, 2 people are dead already on account of that guy. Take a look out that window, Plinkett.
Oh, baby. Baby.
get about 4 or 5 men and a couple dogs, there's a house over here behind those trees. We want to go check it out.
Right.
You go here, Bill.
Yeah, Chief, we're going to stay with it till we meet up with the National Guard.
Where'd you get the coffee?
One of the volunteers, you're doing all the work, you take it.
Thank you. We should be wrapped up here about 3 or 4 more hours. We'll probably get into Willard then. I guess you can go over there and meet the National Guard. Nick, you and the rest of these men want to come with me?
Well, Bill, I'm check in the office, see what's happening. All right, Steve, tell them we're going to stay with it, and everything appears to be under control.
Down there by the barn. Some of these guys can follow the wagon down. I only need a few men to check out the house. Somebody had a cookout here, Vince.
Yeah, sure looks like it, Cop.
Jesus, Edwin, get up here. Nick, Tony, Steve, you want to get out in that field and build me a bonfire? You, drag that out of here and throw it on the fire.
Nothing down here.
All right, go ahead down and give him a hand. Let's go check out the house.
There's something there. I heard a noise.
All right, Vince, hit him in the head, right between the eyes. Good shot. Okay, he's dead. Let's go get him. That's another one for the fire.
Send the wagon through, come directly on over.
Keep those dogs back off of those things.
Go more quickly.
Please. Let's go back there. That's the way. Hey, Randy, light these torches over here. We're in the back. We're in the back.
Well, that's it. But hey, in the end, at least we got to meet my favorite character in the whole movie, that ordinary police chief guy who's leading the hillbilly zombie cleanup crew. I love it when they're interviewing him and he keeps yelling at people off camera and answering questions from people off camera. He's like, oh, get that zombie back on the fire. And somebody's like, and he's like, yeah, oh, tell him to get over on the other side of the road in the ditch. And then he says the best line in the whole movie. That news nerd, he's talking to him and he says, hey, are they slow moving? And he says, yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up. Burn them or beat them. They go up pretty easy. So then the zombies all start busting into the house and Cooper double crosses Ben and he grabs the rifle. But then Ben clobbers them, takes the rifle back, and finally gives that Cooper exactly what he deserves, a belly full of lead. And then Cooper goes stumbling downstairs, and when you know it, well, all this hullabaloo's going on. His own daughter has died and turned into one of the undead. And then when Helen goes downstairs, she finds Karen chowing down on her own daddy's arm. And then little Karen does something really weird for a zombie. She grabs a cement trowel and stabs her mama to death. You know, the zombies in this movie are actually pretty smart. I mean, at the beginning, that guy was using a rock to break the car window, and then they used the rock to break the headlights, and then they were just smashing on the house with rocks. But they ain't as smart as the zombies in that new movie, Return of the Living Dead. That's the one with the punkers fighting the zombies. That one just came out a couple months ago. I had to drive all the way to Madison to see it. Anyway, the zombies in Return of the Living Dead could talk, and they even used the radio to call the cops and tell them to send more cops so they could eat those cops. I really like that movie, but I don't think we could show it on this show. We don't got the budget for that. So you're just going to have to go rent it or watch it on Cinemax or something. But back to this movie, Barbara goes up to try to help Ben keep the zombies out, and then the door breaks open, and wouldn't you know it, there's her brother Johnny there to save her. Just kidding. He's one of the undead zombies, and he's gonna eat the flesh from her bones. So that's that for Barbara. And then Ben's all alone, and little Karen comes up to see what all the ruckus is upstairs, and Ben just pushes her on the couch and heads down in the basement, locking the door up behind him. You know what? That Mr. Cooper was kind of right. If they had all gone down in the basement and stayed quiet, instead of staying upstairs and pounding on the windows and hollering at each other to attract all the zombies, they probably would have been fine until the hillbillies showed up in the morning. Or they could just do what I always think they should have done. Go upstairs and then tear up those dang steps. And then, or even better, you could just throw all the dressers and crap from upstairs down into the steps and fill that stairwell up with all that crap. Ain't no zombies getting through that kind of mess or climbing up from the outside. They can't climb that high. And then you're not stuck in some stupid basement or downstairs where the windows are boarded up and you could see what's going on out the upstairs windows. And then when the rescue comes, you can kind of wave at them. And then if anything happens and it all goes bad, you just climb out one of the windows and jump down and make a break for it. And then we get some fun shots of all the weirdo zombies come walking in, and they're just checking out the house, walking around looking at it. We got Henry the Perv. He died in his trench coat. Oh, there's Han Solo. Oh, there's confused Grandma Josie. She's not even a zombie. She just wandered away from the nursing home. And there's shirtless Joey. Even in life, he never wore a shirt, not even to church. And now everyone's dead except Ben down in the basement. And then in the morning when the hillbillies show up, instead of coming upstairs and waving and yelling, hey, there's a live person in here, dudes, he just starts creeping around real slow. So they see him through the window and they think, ooh, there's a dead guy in there, dudes. And then Vince, that crack shot, blows his brains out. The end. Well, not really the end, because during the closing credits, we get to see all these creepy photos of them dragging Ben's dead body out and throwing it onto a big pile where they're going to start him on fire. And guess who he winds up laying right next to? That creepy weirdo zombie that attacked Barbara at the very beginning of the movie. So, the last alive living character from the movie, except I guess the chief and the hillbillies and the news nerd. Probably a lot of other people, but anyways, he winds up laying on the fire pile right next to the dead again body of the first reanimated dead guy we ever saw in the movie. Well, that's some symbolism there, I tell you what. Well, anyways, I really love this movie, and I'm glad that we could all enjoy it together again tonight. And I hope you really liked it too. You know, it's almost like we should have showed this actual scary movie last week on Halloween instead of showing some weird movie about a beatnik artist who murders people. But what are you gonna do? I guess that's it for tonight's episode of Dr. Frankenjoe's Gruesome Picture Show. And I will see you all next week for another episode. Have a good night, everybody. What? No, we couldn't show that. We could. Your uncle could not get us Return of the Living Dead. You knucklehead. What's wrong with you? It just came out a couple months ago. We could not afford it anyways, even if he could get it for us. We can't even afford those cheap knockoff Italian zombie movies that they made. Well, no, Dusty told me at the video store, he told me that, what, Hell of the Living Dead, I think he said, that was pretty good. I don't know. Oh, shut up. He could? Are you serious he could get us it? Your uncle could get us Night of the Living... Return of the Living Dead. Sorry. Well, tell him to try if he can. I'd love to show it on the show. Oh, yeah. This is actually pretty good. I don't know what they mixed in this to make it cloudy, but it's not bad. Flour? That's weird. You think it would just get all thick and weird. Oh, yeah. Woo! I don't want to throw this. We need this.
WLQL.